Let me ask a couple of questions about race consciousness. How does race consciousness affect your work? Are you a leader who advances issues of race or society or both? Is there a distinction between these? And is there such a thing as a race transcending leader?
Yes, I think we've had race. We certainly have had leaders who transform racism throughout our career. I mean, throughout our history, throughout the centuries in this country. Ed Brooks was just honored in Congress the other day, and he was elected and said it, I think, or at least elected to office first in the 1960s in Boston, and people said it was just impossible, and he transcended racism. And to me, it's really racism that defines race. I mean, race isn't a scientific, there's no scientific basis. There's just a cultural basis, and the cultural basis is bias. Mm. In my own life, I guess I'm both aware, very aware that I'm black, and I've never wanted to be anything else. I mean, race is both, I think, something that's fundamentally passive. You're just sort of born, and there's an understanding. In my case, the understanding was that my father knew that his children would be black when he married my mom, both by law at the time and by the fact that he was being disowned from his extended family. His brother and his mother stood with him, but from his extended family. So, but it's also something that you affirm. I mean, I can remember once being asked by four guys from a book they had done on kind of young black male leaders. Each of us were asked the same question by ABC News, and I was the only one who wasn't shown. We were asked, why is it the toughest thing in America to be a young black man? And the other three had answered the question just as asked, and I had rejected the premise. And I said, look, if there's anything in my experience, my mother and my sisters taught me is that racism and sexism compound each other. So I just don't think that's necessarily so. He said, but also, frankly, I don't know a black person who, if you really gave them the option, would opt to be white. There's a lot of good about being black. Jazz music, hip hop, black women, whatever. There's just a lot of good about being black. And obviously that wasn't fit for ABC News. But at the same time, race is extremely limiting in creating political consensus in this country. There's been a lot of studies done recently that show that if you lead with racial disparities, you turn off and you harden people against you who are not in the affected group. And I think all of us really yearn to kind of live beyond race.